Hello, everyone. My name's Anthony Hake. I'm the Director of IT at Oak Collaborative. And today I'm going to be doing a little talk called Where in the World is My Website? If any of you happen to know what search engine optimization is, I hope that this will be a quick refresher for you as we go over some of the preliminary concepts. And then as we get more into the talk, I'm going to provide some hands-on demonstrations of me going into the Oak Hill Collaborative website and actually improving some of the search engine optimization for our pages. All right. Oh, I guess I was a slide ahead of myself. Yeah, hello world. My name is Anthony. Other than being director of IT, I'm really in the technology, and I've been doing tech for at least 8 or 9 years. I have a bachelor's in information technology that I got from YSU, and I've been fascinated by just all the things that not just businesses can do with technology, but average people. And what I do at Oak Hill Collaborative is I teach just about anyone how they can get the most out of their computer, out of their internet connection, so on and so forth. If you want to learn more about my journey, you can find me on LinkedIn at /in/Anthony-Hake. There will also be my email at the end if you have any questions. So let's talk tech real quick. For those of you that don't know what search engine optimization is, search engine optimization is, if I were to describe it, the process of putting landmarks around your website to raise awareness and make it easier to navigate on the worldwide map that is the internet. Now, I like comparing the internet to a map because it really is. IP addresses are no different from your home address, but what does an IP address mean to your clients? How can you quickly rattle off information that they need to find your website, much like you would tell someone how to find your house in the neighborhood? And search engine optimization doesn't have to be purely a technical concept. It can be a marketing one as well, as simply putting your website on a business card and handing it to everyone you meet, or verbally telling someone what to look up to find your website or what your website is. That is a form of search engine optimization because you are optimizing the way that your client finds you on the internet. But that part, I feel like you guys already know all about. So I'm going to kind of gloss over it and get into what is known as technical search engine optimization. Before we get to that, I'm going to talk real quick on the different approaches that you can take. I put shady business in quotations here because there are a lot of independent contractors or even businesses who will promise to bring your ranking up on Google and improve your search engine optimization for a low fee. Now, that could be completely fine, or they could take your money and run with it. I'm not here to tell you which businesses I would trust with making changes to my website. Instead, I encourage that you think about some of the ways that you can improve your own website, which is what I'll show you here today. And as I mentioned earlier, you can just tell everyone you meet on the street about your website, tell them what it is, where to find it, what to Google, where they can find you on social media. And as long as your website is posted all over your social media, that in itself is a form of search engine optimization. Finally, getting into the technical weeds is we're going to be looking at the metadata of our website to include more commonly searched terms that are relevant to your business. But what is metadata? Metadata, I think, is easily described as information about information, but in the context of technology, it's invisible information that summarizes the content of your web page for the benefit of search engines. So when you write text on a web page and it's visible and your clients can read it, that is a form of search engine optimization because those are words that'll get pinged when someone searches them on Google. Now, that isn't to say that you've got to go on your website and just have a section full of all the potential words that your clients will ever think of. Instead, we can use metadata, which is kind of information behind the scenes that serve the same purpose. There's actually two purposes that search engine optimization is useful for. Metadata, not search engine optimization. The two purposes that metadata serves, firstly, is accessibility. Having information about information enables accessibility features such as text-to-speech to work, as if you have like a short description of an image as metadata, someone who has their accessibility features turned on their phone can have that image described to them based on that metadata. Another thing, as we mentioned earlier, visibility. The more accurate you have your metadata, the more effective it is, and the more search terms Google has to kind of categorize and sort your web pages as clients search for you and your services. Just an example of accessibility. This is a neat little trick where I can turn off image loading on Facebook. This is actually a local business, and they don't have metadata for their images. So what Facebook does is automatically generate some based on what it thinks it's looking at. And it's kind of hard to see, but I believe there was a sign in the images that said, you can sign up, or you sign up for this and you get, and it picked up on that sign and included it in the metadata. Visibility, here's an example of that, is whenever you look up Oak Hill Collaborative, you get a nice list of these web pages that might be relevant to what you searched. Now, if you'll notice, under videos about us, it says media error, format not supported. And the reasoning for that is because we are actually missing metadata on that page, which is an issue that we're going to fix right here. All right. So when you're behind the scenes editing the metadata for your website and improving your search engine optimization, how do you know that you got good information? What do you include in your metadata description of the page so that it shows up like this? For example, the homepage in metadata would have, its description would have, Oak Hill Collaborative demonstrates the power of several intersecting forces, the collaboration of willing participants, the utilization of available resources, and it cuts off, but it changes based on what you search in combination with Oak Hill Collaborative. So if you're looking for local resources, Youngstown, I'm sure that this page will come up in some regard, thanks to the fact that available resources are some of the search terms that are included in the description. So think of a list of those terms that you would like to add into the metadata. Think of a list of words like a word bank that is relevant to what's happening on that page. And the next step is to choose a word from that list to act as kind of your focal point. This is going to be the word that determines that page's rank or its position in a Google search that's relevant to it. Now, while Google is incredibly intelligent at comparing synonyms, similar phrases, and might be able to show you a wide array of pages it thinks you're looking for, having the correct keyword to identify the page that you're on will only help Google bring more clients to you. And finally, after you've chosen your focus word and you've got a nice word bank to start putting a description together with, it's important that you, sorry, I just had something pop up. It's important that you make it unique to your organization. And that's just for if you are selling, let's say, generic goods. You're an ice cream shop. what branding, what terminology, what words can you use that would set your web page apart from the Dairy Queen down the street, and make sure that some of those words that are exclusive to your business are included in your metadata, so that if someone looks up local ice cream near me, Dairy Queen isn't the only option that comes up. So before we get into, get our hands dirty with search engine optimization and fixing up the videos page on the Oak Hill Collaborative website, I'm going to take a breath, first of all. Been going for a minute now. And then we're going to talk about your technology stack. This is technology stack is a slang term kind of in the industry that is a quick way of describing all of the programming languages, technologies, services, and tools that were used to put together a project or website, in our case, a website. By telling someone the tools that you use to build your website, they can offer better advice and show you what you need to do to accomplish the changes that you need. Today, I'm going to be using WordPress and Yoast Seo. WordPress is a website building service that's popular with nonprofit and small businesses. And Yoast Seo is a WordPress plugin that's compatible with WordPress that kind of gives strong suggestions on how you should structure your metadata, and it just overall helps you manage your search engine optimization efforts. So this is the part where I'm going to back out of the slideshow and show you kind of the back end of Yoast Seo. Now, if you don't use WordPress, or if you're not familiar with Yoast Seo, I'm going to try and make the concepts as generic as possible so that they can be directly applied to your tech stack. But if you can't really see the parallel, don't worry, we'll come back to that later. All right. So here I am on my dashboard for WordPress. It says I'm still screen sharing, so I'm just going to keep going. We're going to locate the problematic page, which was the videos page. There we go, videos about us. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to skip past all the content here. Well, maybe not yet. You see the issue with this web page and why it was unable to automatically generate some kind of metadata description is because there isn't a whole lot of text to work with. It's mostly just videos. So we need to manually put in our metadata description that makes this page easier to find. So once I scroll past the editor, that's what all this white space is just editing the page itself. We get to the Yoast Seo plugin. And what we can do with this is there's a couple of tabs here, starting with the most important one, search engine optimization. So when I think about the videos page for Oak Hill Collaborative, I think about interviews. I think about discussions that people have had with my boss, Pat Kerrigan, and him discussing what we do here at the collaborative. So my focal point, or my key word here, my focus key phrase is interview. I'm going to leave that there so that if someone looks up Oak Hill Collaborative and interview in the same search, this is the page that's the most likely to come up, but we're not done yet. As you can see by this preview here, we don't have an actual meta description. If you recall that screenshot, yep, media error, format not supported, or source not found. It failed to automatically generate a description based on what was on the page. So now we kind of got to feed it one. So this is our preview, and this is going to change as we make changes to it. That blue title there, videos about us, is just a combination of variables, which is the title, the page, a dash, and the name of the website. I think that's fine. I'm going to leave that as it is. Slug, we're not going to change. That's just what the name of the page is, which is videos. Metadata is what we need to add in here. Now, normally I would meditate on some word choices here. How do I describe this page? I would describe it as a collection of Oak Hill collaborative interviews, promo videos, and news releases. All right. And think of action terms. What are people doing here? What information are they trying to find? So in addition to this, this first paragraph here, I'm going to put, click here to learn about the Oak Hill Collaborative history. And I feel that's a good number of letters there. You want to keep it sweet and short. And if you go too long, it's going to cut off anyways. So it's better to have the whole thing right there. And as you saw here, this little bar filled up as I was typing it out more and more. And you can keep going. It's just going to run off. And I can even go back here and it'll show me like how many letters is a good amount of letters. I think that's paying too close attention. I think just word count is fine. And as long as you keep your word count under control and still get your idea across, you don't have to put a small essay into your meta description. Keep it short, sweet, and to the point, but with enough keywords so that when someone Googles this page, there's enough hits for it to come up. So now we're going to pop open this menu here called SEO Analysis. This is the real pride and joy of Yoast SEO, because what this is an AI that looks over the web page looking for certain problems that could hurt your search engine optimization or put you further behind in the queue. So there are a couple of these that I'm going to ignore because they don't directly relate to the context of the page. For example, outbound links, no outbound links appear in the page. That's because I'm embedding the videos into the web page. That's because I want them to view the videos on the website. I don't want them to go to YouTube or WFMJ or a million other sites just to find their information. So I'm gonna ignore that, even though it's calling it a problem. It's not really a problem, more of a warning. Another one is key phrase in meta description. The meta description has been specified, but it does not contain the key phrase. So what they're saying here is that my focus key phrase is interview. And in the meta description, I technically don't have the word interview. I have interviews. So maybe I should update my key phrase since there are multiple of them. So now that I have the word interviews as my focus key phrase, it's also in the meta description. That's no longer an issue. Key phrase density is another big one. Now, if this is going to be your focus of the web page, interviews, we want to make sure that the word interviews actually appears on the web page itself. And you don't want it to appear too many times because you want a nice diversity of key terms, but we want our key phrase to at least be in there once. So here's Pat talking about early days of the collaborative. We're going to put interviews here. Interviews Pat Kerrigan. Let's see here. Oak Hill Collaborative in business journals. I'm going to reword this real quick. Business journal interviews, Oak Hill Collaborative. And I think 2 hits is enough. As long as we have the word interviews in there twice, that should be sufficient. So we're going to scroll down here. And key phrase density is fixed. Key phrase and title, we don't have the word interviews in the title of the page because the title of the page is videos. I don't want to call the page interviews because that's not all it is. There's also other videos on this page. So I'm going to ignore that warning as well. There's also improvements, whereas you can make your SEO title even longer, which in my case, I probably should. Videos is pretty short and to the point. Key phrase in slug. What that means is the name of the page again, videos, is not interviews, and it's suggesting that I should rename that. Once you get past improvements, it kind of gives you a pat on the back, tells you all the things that you've been doing right. And I really like that part of this plugin, not because I feel I need reassurance for what I'm doing, but because if you're doing everything right, but you don't know that you are, then you don't know what behavior to repeat. So this tells you exactly what you need to keep doing with your web pages. Next, we're going to go through just a bit more of Yoast SEO. One feature that I also like and doesn't really apply to this page too much, readability. If you are a blog writer or you write articles, this is a great little tool to scan through your article, and it'll tell you if you're being too wordy, too pedantic, if you aren't saying enough, if you aren't being descriptive enough, and it even scores it based on how easy it is to read. I'm not using enough transition words. I'm not using a whole lot of words actually, because the words that it's scoring me on is right here and all the other titles. So readability isn't going to apply to me for this page, but for a page that isn't just full of videos, you may want to give this tab a look over to make sure what you're putting out there makes sense. All right, Schema tab. This is just a way to kind of categorize your page even further. Like, for example, if you're trying to sell houses, if this is a page about questions and answers, there's another category for that. This is just another way of filing your web page in a specific area of Google so that it can be found faster. This is a collection of videos, so I'm going to leave it under collection page. And finally, have you ever seen someone share your web page on social media like Facebook or Twitter, and it comes up with a really nice preview? Well, this tab allows you to edit what image shows up as a thumbnail in that Facebook post, as well as let you control a short description of what they see, their preview before they even open the link, which is another form of metadata. This isn't going to change what people see when they look me up on Google, so I'm going to leave it as is, maybe come back to it later. But hopefully you'll see that this is really all it takes as a WordPress user to keep your SEO tight and bound so that people don't have an issue finding you on the internet. Let's see here. Back to the talk. Right, so that was the demonstration. I really didn't want to like take a screenshot or 500 screenshots throughout the process. I really prefer just live demonstrations. So I'm told that this video is going to be archived and uploaded. So if any of that did not make sense, I would just wait till it's uploaded. That way you can go back and rewatch it as I walk through the different processes. And if you still have questions, my email will be at the end of the presentation. So let's say that you're not using WordPress. In my opinion, there are so many different website building services out there that there isn't one universal answer for them all. And that's fine, because you can just Google what services are best for the site that you're using. I don't know if Yoast SEO works with Wix, for example, or GoDaddy. I haven't really done my due diligence in that part, but someone has, and they're on the internet. So if you Google, how do I improve my search engine optimization on GoDaddy or Wix, there's likely an answer for you. I do know that if you're old-fashioned and build your website by hand using HTML and CSS and JavaScript, the way to create metadata descriptions, like you saw me do earlier, was to use a meta tag in the header section of your HTML code. And I have it highlighted down here below, meta, which starts the tag, the title of the metadata description, and then inside that description, what will they see when they look this page up? And whatever you put inside these double quotes here, learning about meta tags, will be what shows up in that search. And finally, now that we've experimented and tested and did our techno babble, we're going to see if it worked. We're going to observe if there was any change or if we need to return to the whiteboard. It's always pertinent to make sure that your search engine optimization did what it was supposed to do. Otherwise, it's just wasted effort. So we're going to return to our original goal, which was raising awareness of our videos web page. And let's see, did I commit any of those changes? One sec. Okay, I'm going to update now that we've improved. All right, and let's see what changes. Oh, well, I guess it's not instantaneous. Okay, maybe I'll have to check back later. But ideally, what would have changed there is the metadata description would have came up with exactly what we told Yoast to make it. So I'm going to check back on that later tonight and see if it changed anything. There are other ways as well to see if your search engine optimization is working. Our favorite way is to put out a survey. After each event, we send out a survey and about how did they hear about the event. And it's usually word of mouth, TV, news, but every once in a while, we'll get someone that says, I found it on your website. And those are the answers that are going to interest you the most. You can do what I just did and look up your own website. Now, I just typed Oak Hill Collaborative. I didn't type Oak Hill Videos because I didn't clear my cache before I did that search. So it would have known what I was looking for anyways. But what you can also do is open up a private or incognito window. That way it's not using any of your personal data to influence the search. Just like someone who's never heard of your business won't have any search history to bias their search when they're trying to find your business. It'll give you an organic way of seeing what your clients see. Another really good way to see if your SEO is working properly, and I think it's worth the price of admission, is using something to track the traffic of your website. Simple Analytics is one that I recommend. It's relatively cheap. I don't know offhand how expensive, but can't be more than $20 a month. And what you do is you add this service to your website, and it'll see how many people are on your website at any given moment in the day. And then it will log that data. So naturally, what you would do is kind of get a control variable, see how many people normally visit your website, turn on this traffic tracker after you have made some changes to your search engine optimization, and see if there's an increase in traffic thanks to the changes that you've made. All right. So just to review real quick, the first step, the search engine optimization, is finding those keywords. What describes your web page or your website? Why is your client there? You kind of have to get into their head a little bit and think how they think. What are they looking for? And what are they going to search to find it? The next step is making changes to your tech stack, whatever that might look like for you. And after those changes are made, make sure you review your results. That way, you can see what was effective, what wasn't, and what needs to change. Oh boy, that was 30 minutes of search engine optimization.